Group. I am your host, Melanie Parker. Speaking of the Right Legacy Group, we have a couple of agents that were able to take a little bit of time off your busy schedules. We have Austin Wright with the Right Legacy Group, and we have Andrew Sargent. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us, Melanie.
Glad to have you. It's weird to be with you. Since we work together, it's weird to be in this different environment with you all. So I am very fortunate to glean a lot of good information working with you all and with Steve Wright. So I'm really excited to get to share some of those little tidbits of great knowledge with our audience today.
Yeah, we're glad to be here and be able to share whatever we know that will benefit others. So
great. All right, we're starting 2024. That sounds weird to say out loud.
Yes, it does.
Very strange. You know, just 20 years ago it was 1980 something, so it's very bizarre. But we do want people to start the year with the right financial answers.
Absolutely.
And the right way, and total pun intended. So I guess if you're looking at your finances, the very first thing I would assume, and you all as professionals, would be a budget.
Yeah, that's usually where you'll start is you'll look at just what money I have coming in. Mm-hmm. You know, did I get a raise last year? Did I have a bonus at the end of the year, Christmas bonus, anything like that? What's the best way to use that? Have my expenses changed? What are my outgoing expenses? Mm-hmm. You know, if your money's tight, you can always look over, okay, well, am I paying for too many streaming services? Maybe there's a couple of other things that maybe I can let go of, different things like that. But you know, you're looking at your budget. Things have changed. You know, groceries are a little bit different expense-wise.
There's a little bit of a crackdown on sharing passwords.
Yeah, Netflix cut that off. If you're at home and you were using your parents' password, or a parent using your children's password.
You know, we give and take.
You know,
in my
you give
family.
and take, whatever. There's some different things going on there. So, but that's kind of the building block that you want to kind of build off of.
Right.
You know, if you're not controlling your money's often controlling you, and so you want to make sure you know where your money's coming from, how it's being spent, how you're investing for the future, different things like that. So that's kind of the foundational building block. So just a simple review is, okay, well, let's just sit down, look at what's coming in each month, how much it costs for me to actually live now, making sure I have the groceries or the budget for my lifestyle that I want, you know, as well as if, you know, particularly if you're younger, planning for the future, things of that nature. But there's been a lot of things that have shifted cost-wise, particularly here in our area, and there's a couple of things in particular that have shifted in terms of, like, you know, you may have noticed when you got your bill or your mortgage, your statement said, hey, your escrow is going to change this year. Well, why? Why did it go up? Well, your homeowner's insurance is probably going to be going up, and also your auto insurance is probably more expensive this year than it has been, and that's kind of Andrew's area of expertise. So I'll let him kind of speak to why those costs within your budget may be escalating on you here.
Yeah, and I could go on all day about why in the world how much it's going up and why it's going up, but I'll just kind of break it down as quick as I can with that. One of the biggest things, you know, talking about homeowners insurance and why it's going up is in the past 2 years, Kentucky has experienced 4 separate billion-dollar-plus weather events.
Wow.
This means that it's been 4 separate weather events that have cost at least $1 billion worth of damages in the state of Kentucky, and that is unprecedented. Never happened before like that, and insurance companies are definitely feeling the brunt of it. Gotcha. And so that's been a big factor, and a lot of times those increases that you're seeing, anytime I've talked to people in the past about their homeowners insurance, a lot of times, you know, I'm telling them you can normally expect, you know, inflationary increase 2, 3, 4, 5%. That's pretty normal. We're seeing dramatically higher than that, sometimes 15, 20% increases now with that. So it's definitely something to be part of your budget.
So those increases are more unique to Kentucky at this point based on those events? It isn't like a company-wide change. It depends on where you live?
That's correct. Because the state insurance commissioner, typically he has to, that's his job to manage that kind of thing and to dictate when and how insurance companies can raise their rates. So yeah, it goes a lot based off of state by state. Obviously other states were, you know, affected by weather as well too. But here in this state, here in Kentucky, we just have really never seen anything like it in the amount of damage that has happened over the past 2 years, and really the way that it's put insurance companies kind of behind the 8 ball with a lot of this.
Wow.
So homeowners insurance is a big thing that's going up.
Gotcha.
You know, auto is also another thing that is continuing to rise up. people aren't hardly believing it when I say this, but the pandemic still has its effects when it comes to auto insurance. The supply chain is not fully recovered, which means car parts are either more expensive or they're more difficult to get. Cars are sitting in body shops for a lot longer. All of those things combined with just rising medical bills for injuries and things like that, it just is all causing it all to go up pretty dramatically.
Sure. So it's not like the CEOs of these companies just decided to give themselves a really big raise.
Yeah.
And it trickled down. It's everything costs more.
Everything costs
Yeah.
more, and it's I won't nerd out on you all about insurance too much, but they use a term called the loss ratio. It just means how much money they're bringing in versus how much money they're paying out.
Sure.
And right now that number is so way much higher than what they have to have it to be for it to be sustainable for an insurance company to operate in the state. So unfortunately it's inevitable. I'll throw this as a last little anecdote about it. You have been told that there was a company who was trying to keep the rates down, and the state commissioner forced them to increase their rates.
Really?
Yes, in order for them to make sure that they're financially solid and there's not going to have any problems in the future.
Interesting. Well, with it being January 2024, these are all necessary things. So it's time to look at, we have these New Year's resolutions.
Yes.
And a really good one, obviously, is a financial one. And that's one you can stick to much easier than the losing weight or drinking less coffee. I'm not going there. So what do we need to look at? I guess before we project forward, we need to kind of review where we are. We talked about the finances, looking at our streaming. As a matter of fact, at dinner the other night, I slid my phone across to my son-in-law, who is knowledgeable, and I said, every subscription on my phone with apps, get rid of it. So he just, I don't even want to know what it is. I don't want to entertain the thought of keeping it. Get rid of it. That's just what we have to do. So what other things should we really be looking at to review before we start moving forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. So not only just reviewing what you're spending money on, but also the building blocks of just having a secure lifestyle and your insurance and things of that nature, just because they are more expensive.
Right.
But you also want to look at, okay, well, how am I building not just for today but also for the future? Right. So are you taking advantage of all the investment opportunities you have at work? If you're working, do they offer a retirement plan that you can take advantage of? If they are you maximizing that as much as you can? A lot of companies offer at least a match on what you put in.
Free money. We call that
which is free money. I wish I could guarantee 100% return. I can't.
Right.
But they can. For every dollar up to the match, they can do that. So are you able to at least put in that much? At least making the match. And if you're able to, and you still have margin within your budget after you've done your budgetary review, can I increase this? Because what you're doing by increasing your savings today is you're not losing money today, right? You're creating opportunity in the future.
Excellent.
And so that way you have additional options, whether it comes to your retirement or your children's education, different things like that you can do by reviewing your investments. And because of the specific environment we're in, it's also important to make sure you review how you're invested for what your comfort level is.
Sure.
Not everybody's comfortable just pushing all the chips onto the table and spinning the wheel and saying, hey, let's go.
And as you get older, you don't want to do that
exactly.
as much. You have less recoup time.
Exactly. And so based upon your age, how close you are to retirement, things of that nature, you want to make sure that how you're investing your retirement funds or even just your extra money, that you're matching that to what your goals are financially and making sure that it aligns with what you're trying to accomplish. The closer you get to retirement, you do want to scale back on your risk because you want to make sure that money is there when you need it in retirement. If you're in your 20s, 30s, just getting started, you can put money in the market, and over time, you can have a little bit higher risk, things of that nature. But it's more about making sure that not only are you taking advantage of what you have, but that you're building consistent habits. Because the way that you really get yourself set up for the future is by doing good habits over a long period of time.
That's a good word.
And so just instilling those habits, even if it's saving just $50, $100, or a certain percentage of your income, it adds up over time. And making sure that you do it in a way that matches what you're trying to accomplish.
Right.
If you're saving it for a short period of time, you can be a little more conservative with that. If you're saving it for your future, for your retirement, things of that nature, you want to make sure that is where you are at in life is aligned with how you're actually invested. We meet a lot of people in our office that they're in their 60s, 70s, and they're 100% full bore, fully growth, and they're trying to retire in a year or two. You're like, well, maybe we need to scale this back a little bit,
Right.
just because, if you were to have a good downturn in the market within that 2-year period of time, that's going to hurt your retirement a lot more than if you were to scale that back a little bit and protect some of those assets
Right.
that you've spent a lifetime building and everything.
We sat and we chatted, the three of us,
Yeah.
just yesterday, and talked about, there's so much I don't understand that you all do, so I genuinely appreciate having you all right down the hall, but about the market,
Yeah.
the housing market and everything that's going on here in Hardin
Yeah.
County. We're affected by a lot of things that are going on, so all of that takes a play, I'm sure.
Absolutely does. Yeah.
And when we also chatted about the people who have been proactive and have these policies in place. Now's a good time. There's a certain time of the month you need to check those light bulbs. And I've interviewed the fire marshal, and there are certain times to check the sprinklers and all of that. This is a good time to check the policies you have in place and the beneficiaries and all of those kinds of things. You know it's there, you know it's safe, but you really need to revisit that. Life changes.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely does. Yeah, and so there's a certain part of their homeowners insurance that they need to review because of the market that we're in. That Andrew could speak to, just about how if your home value has gone up, you may need to do some reviews as well.
You mentioned about the changes in Hardin County and in surrounding areas in recent times, and the way that has affected a lot of things. And one of the biggest ways that we have seen just in this area is in home values. And
It's
and all
crazy.
that. Yeah, it's kind of it's a bit of a double-edged sword, because we've had two things happen. Really, the cost of construction has gone up significantly, as well as the market value for someone's houses. And it used to be, whenever I was writing someone a homeowner's insurance policy, that the market value would be down here and the replacement cost would be a little up here. And some people would get frustrated because they would say, well, why am I have to pay for more insurance than what my home is worth? And I have to explain to them, well, it's because the cost of reconstructing your home is actually more than what the value per home is. That table has flipped now, and to the point in which sometimes we're having to increase someone's coverages because it would be cheaper for them to rebuild their house than it would be to purchase the home. Yeah. So that's something to review for sure, is to pull out your homeowner's insurance declaration page, as we call it, and look at how much your home is actually covered for, and then try to make a comparison to market value and reconstruction cost of the home itself, and make sure that those line up. Because I've had a conversation with a client that we wrote the house covered for $350,000, and then he called me about 6 months later and said, "Hey, a house just down the street from me just sold for $425. I need to probably increase my coverage." So it's a great time to look at that kind of thing, because you don't want to be in that situation in which something happens to your home and you can't afford, with what the insurance pays you, to be able to either rebuild what you currently have or to at least get into something similar to what you have.
Sure. I know for many years, I was a single mom with 3 kids. As far as auto insurance goes, I would literally say to my agent, what's the cheapest I can get by with and still be driving legal in Kentucky? What's the least amount I can pay? But having worked with you all now, I know that that's just not how I roll anymore, total pun intended.
Yes. Yeah. It's just not the wisest thing to do.
Right.
Because while you may be saving pennies right now, you're going to be experiencing some difficulty down the road if something were to actually happen to it. And many times whenever I'm talking to someone about ways that they can save money on their auto insurance, I'm trying to get their attention away from one area into another. And that is, you don't mess with your limits of liability, which is what the insurance company will pay in the event that you were to get into an accident and someone were to be injured, or you were to damage somebody else's vehicle, how much that coverage is. But instead, let's look at perhaps raising your deductible, or perhaps removing the coverage for getting a rental car if the vehicle is down. The way that I say it is, if we bump your deductible up to from $500 to, say, $1,500, that you may say, oh, that's a steep jump. That's an extra $1,000 that I'll have to pay. I'd much rather you have a $1,500 loss than to have a $150,000 loss because you didn't have the coverage in place and someone was badly injured as a result of an accident that you caused. So it's conversations like that we try to have with folks, just to make sure that they understand. We want to help you save some in this environment that we're in right now. We definitely want to try to do that, but let's make sure we're doing it the right way,
Right.
not
And realistically.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I am big in January of starting the year fresh, you know, in a lot of ways, physically, emotionally, financially, all of the things. And I know a story about someone who didn't change their beneficiaries when their life changed.
Yes.
And I would love for you to share that with the audience, because it's very, very, very important for people to know this.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. So as you're doing a full comprehensive review, you know, we talked about budget and the cost, where you can save as much as you can, and then possibly needing to spend a little bit more in different areas to make sure you have complete coverage. One of the most forgotten about things, particularly if you switch jobs on a regular basis, you know, which sometimes is great. Your career's advancing, you're able to move around. Well, if you have old accounts, or if you have a life insurance policy that you started when you were really young, you don't always look to change the beneficiaries on those accounts.
Right.
So we had a client who had been married when he was younger, got divorced, married to who he said was the love of his life. They were married for over 20 years before he passed. Well, his 401k that he started when he first started working, he never changed the beneficiary form from his ex-wife to his current spouse.
Ooh.
Well, his 401k represented the vast majority of his inheritance, of his estate.
Right.
And so his ex-wife, who he had not been in a relationship with, didn't have anything to do with her for over 20-some years, she inherited all those funds. There was no legal recourse for the current spouse, anything like that. The person that's named on that beneficiary form is the person that gets that money.
Right.
They actually filed a lawsuit, took it to the courts, and the court said, look, this is the name that's on the form, this is the person that gets the money. And so she ended up getting that 401k, and the current spouse who he was trying to leave to and wanted to leave it to didn't get those funds. And so it's a very simple thing. As you're doing a review of your budget, another good practice is each year to just sit down and actually write out, what assets do I have, who are they going to, and like letting other people in your life know, hey, I have a 401k here, I have an IRA here, you know, I have a savings account, whatever it is, you know, a good car, whatever that you invested in, and who those accounts are actually named to if something were to happen to you. That way, not only are you building something in life, but what you are building goes to who you want it to go to.
Right.
You know, because that's also important. Right. You know, we have another client that his wife had passed. They didn't have any children. There was no other close heirs. He had intended for his estate to pass to his, there was a specific charity in town that he wanted to give those funds to. Well, he never named the life insurance to actually go to the charity. The life insurance then went through the state structure, which is it looks to the spouse, then the kids, and then out to aunts, uncles, nieces, that kind of extended family.
Sure.
And it was a pretty sizable, you know, amount. The charity didn't end up getting those funds. It went to a nephew he didn't even really know very well, because he was the first person in line to receive those funds. And so, you know, the nephew was probably pretty happy about that, to receive that. However, it was not what that person really wanted those funds to do.
Sure.
And so, you know, instead of being able to bless something that he valued, it went somewhere that he did not intend.
So those beneficiary forms, they are bottom line, correct?
Correct.
So even if, like, I write a will,
Correct.
and say I want it to go to child A,
Yes.
but on my beneficiary form it says child B on my life insurance, that's trumps,
That's
correct?
correct. That trumps any other
Everything.
estate planning that you have done. The only way for a trust or a will to actually disperse those assets is if that is named as the beneficiary on the form.
Gotcha. Wow. So there you go, folks.
Yep.
That is it. It's just something people should do the beginning of every year. Make it a habit.
Yeah. And life changes.
Relationships change.
Absolutely.
I know we've had, I won't name names, don't worry, but I know we've had clients that have changed beneficiaries due to political beliefs of their beneficiaries.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some people know they have to change that
Absolutely.
form, but life changes. It ebbs, it flows,
Absolutely.
it evolves, and it's just something you need to look at. As we get older, our memory is not what it once was. Once we are seasoned, like myself, we don't remember things the way we used to.
Yeah.
So it's super important for us to look on that dotted line and see what's written there. whether you have a financial advisor, which I can't imagine why you wouldn't, but even if you're taking care of those things yourself, it's super duper important that you go through all of that paperwork regularly.
Yeah, absolutely. And just because it's the new year, it's a time to start fresh. You're already thinking through different things that maybe you're looking to do different.
Right.
It's just a good time of year to just say, hey, let's just add making sure that our financial situation also is set up the way that we want it to be.
Right. And no one wants to have that conversation with their elders,
Yeah.
with their seasoned parents who are getting up there in age. And if they are, then that's good that they've had that full life.
Absolutely.
But no one wants to say, hey, Mom, Dad, let's talk about what we're going to do when you die.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to have that conversation.
Yeah.
But you have to. So often people don't, and it is a mess.
Yeah, and depending on where you are in that spectrum, you know, it's always easier to take care of your own economy.
Right.
You know, if you're taking care of yourself, then the experience you learn from just taking care of that helps you either teach your kids or help have the conversation with your parents if your parents are a little nervous about having those conversations. But just making sure, you know, that they can do that. And, you know, sometimes it's okay to just say, hey, Mom and Dad, go talk to these people. They know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, they'll help you out. But
And
just
they
at
will
least
guide
knowing,
us.
at least knowing, you know, some people that you can maybe send them in their direction to where they can help them walk them through that and make sure things are where they need to be and everything.
And that's
but
a
just,
good connection. I have, I'm not the one that normally answers the phone at the Right Legacy Group, but there have been a couple times where I have, and it's a widow or widower or child of a parent or spouse that just passed.
Yeah.
We're one of the first phone calls.
Absolutely.
And, oh, that's tough. That's tough. But we genuinely care about them. And that peace of mind that I've watched you all and your dad, Steve Wright, give to those family members, it's just amazing. Because you don't want to have to worry about that stuff on top of everything else.
Yeah, well, the financial aspect of your life is drives a lot of things.
Right.
Right? And like I had said earlier, you want to be the one that's in control of what's happening.
Right.
Instead of having things happen to you and you reacting. And so, you know, just having those conversations as early as you can so that everybody's on the same page about what's happening, and those conversations make a big difference.
Right. Well, if you have someone you've built a relationship with and they're a safe place for you in those situations, in my opinion, because I'm the marketing director, I don't do what you all do. So I can say, in my opinion, it's just wonderful to watch people say, I am in a very bad place, but I trust you, I know you, we established a relationship, and can you help me with these things? So
and
that's huge.
That's what we want to be, is a safe place for people to have those conversations. Confidentially, you know, depending on your family dynamics, all that kind of stuff, we can always figure out what that looks like.
Right.
You know, but particularly in those times of transition, you know, where instead of having to figure everything out because something bad has already happened, we already have a plan in place, and we can just walk with you through that, you know, that period of life.
Right.
And everything.
And another
as well.
component of that is, at the start of the year, drill down into your paperwork. Right? Evaluate what the choices you've made this past year. See what worked, let's keep that. See what didn't, let's get rid of that. Let's change it, let's shift it. I got some more money, let's put it in the right places, talk to the right people, and plan moving ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, guys, I think we're good. It's easy for me to say, genuinely easy for me to say, if you need insurance or if you need Social Security advice or just anything, this is where I'm at, this is where I want to be, how do I get there? You guys are the people, the Right Legacy Group. I genuinely believe that. Of course, that's not saying anything against the others. We have some wonderful financial advisors here in Hardin County. Truly. So I strongly encourage, I can just share my favorites, but I strongly encourage people to talk to your insurance folks. Make sure you're where you need to be. You're covered the way you can be covered at the least expense to you.
Sure.
It may not be the most minimum that you won't get a ticket if you get pulled over. Just saying, we progress in life.
Yeah.
But it's super important to know people and have these relationships in place.
Absolutely.
Do you agree?
Absolutely.
So I'm Melanie, and that's it for today. But you do have a workshop January 16th. If it's past the 16th and you're watching this, give us a call anyway. We'll be happy to share all that information with you. And we have just about area of expertise, all of them at the Right Legacy Group you could need to plan your future and not make the same mistakes you've made before. So I'm Melanie. Give us a call, 270-723-0333, and we will get you taken